Good evening. I'd like to call this evening's Kings Local School District Board of Education regular board meeting to order. Mr. Furness, could you please call the roll?
Mr. Belfram.
Here.
Mr. Bidwell.
Here.
Ms. Cowan.
Here.
Mr. Egan.
Here.
Ms. Phillips.
Here.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have a motion to approve this evening's agenda?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Furness?
Mr. Bidwell.
Yes.
Ms. Cowan.
Yes.
Mr. Egan.
Yes.
Ms. Phillips.
Yes.
Mr. Belfram.
Yes. Next on this evening's agenda, we have reports and presentations. Our first presentation is concerning the King's Hope Squad. Mrs. Martin.
You have to hold up and mute, but.
Right. Is it on, Dee? There we go.
You're good.
Yep, got it. Good evening, everyone. First of all, I want to introduce our Hope Squad advisors. We have Margie Coleman, Megan Apple, and Aaron Hackman. We do have two other advisors, Lisa DeBoard and Stacy Duckworth, but they were unable to be here tonight. I want to honor these ladies, fantastic ladies. We have had Hope Squad with us now since, I believe, 2018. I think I remember that, yes. I'll talk a few minutes about Hope Squad and then talk about what these ladies have been doing. So Hope Squad is a school-based peer-to-peer suicide prevention program existing in the high school and the junior high. Hope Squad was developed during the 2018-2019 school year. Hope Squad members are nominated by their peers as trustworthy classmates that are empathetic and approachable. These members are the link between students who may be struggling and the adults that can help them. Hope Squad advisors provide ongoing training, support, and monitoring of Hope Squad members. Training components include topics such as how to respond to a peer who may be suicidal, how to communicate with someone who may be in a crisis, setting personal boundaries, and taking care of yourself. Hope Squads also work to increase the positive culture of the school by spreading messages of hope and care. Seen many of those over the past couple of years, lots of fun stuff. These are our Hope Squad advisors and they're amazing. These ladies tirelessly give their time to organize, train, support, and mentor these wonderful groups of students. The passion that they demonstrate is remarkable, such a gift to our district students and community. Without their commitment to this, Hope Squad would not be possible. And we want to thank all three of you and Lisa and Stacy for everything you've done. So we'll give you a nice round of applause. Very nice presents for you. Oh, I mean, you guys got it, right? Thank you for the recognition. This gives our kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Next presentation is for the King's nursing staff, Mr. Lucky.
I could get all the nurses in the room to step on up. Especially.
There they go.
Yeah. All right, so I've thanked this group. I've worked with this group in rain and freezing cold, in heat. I always brought the music, but they always brought the smiles. So I can't thank this group enough. There's some folks that are not able to make it here, so but they were part of this team. Candy Anthony, Laura DeVage, Melissa Diaz is here, Karen Frecker's here, Karen Frelly, Jill Reagan, Eva Garchar is unable to make it, Kathy Cato is unable to make it, David Shassir, Cindy Hayden, our contact tracers, Christy Salick, Jennifer Gross, and Katie Foreman. Just to give some stats to wrap around this, thank you. Over the last 2 years, this group in total, just to put it in perspective, we've had 616 student positive cases of COVID, 3,258 quarantines, 142 staff, and 173 staff quarantines. That's 4,189 touch points that this group has made, multiple contacts with, to give advice, give direction, and really just take care of our district. So we can't thank you enough for what you've done. And by the way, they still have to do their real job at the same time. So we thank you very much for all that you do. And we can't thank you enough. So thank you so much. Something for your office. Thank you, sir.
I did. Thank you so much. So.
Very good. Sure.
Just want to reiterate, congratulations to our Hope Squad and to our nurses. It really is, they really do a lot of thankless work and a lot of work that goes unseen. So it's nice to see them recognized this evening. Next on the reports and presentations, actually, we have an update from Mr. Sears with regards to champions.
Yeah, thank you, President Balfram. Just wanted to give a quick update. So for the people in the room and also the people watching, last week we engaged our Board of Education with an initial exploratory discussion around looking at some potentially alternative support for our before and after care program. And through that process, we were able to we had a presentation that night, engaged the board in some communication, some discussion, a lot of questions that came about that as that initial level of bringing something to the board for consideration to discuss and enable to take that feedback, take those questions, and then try to establish answers and a kind of a direction moving forward. From there, we engaged and received quite a bit of feedback from that, from our community, from parents and family and folks that are employees that are associated with the program and have had students that have gone through King's Kids and have benefited from that. And so we quickly put together a parent night last night where we wanted to ensure that we provided an opportunity for our families to at least engage into some discussions around what this looks like and to learn more and to ask questions and seek feedback. So through that, what we've gone through is a process for some consideration for our Board of Education and our community that started here with our board. To have some open, transparent communications. We experienced some challenges at the beginning of the year with staffing, especially, and before school started, we had to inform a number of our families that we did not have the appropriate staffing levels to accommodate their child in our before and after care program, which prompted us to look at, okay, what are some alternatives? Do we need to look at this? And so what last week was an initial level, very beginning infant stage discussion with our board if that's something that we want to consider. Throughout the past week, we've engaged in a lot of discussion, had discussions as a team, analyzed a lot of information, talked to employees, looked at different situations. And at this point in time, we do not feel that that is a solution that is viable for us moving forward. And so earlier today, we informed our families that are directly impacted with King's Kids that are currently participating in that. We informed them that we are tabling this discussion and we are going to move forward with utilizing King's Kids program as we have in the past with our employees and going to work to really elevate those staffing levels and continue to provide a great service and a program for our community. So I want to just thank the Board of Education, number one, for engaging into a process of transparent communication where you were right up front, and our community for providing feedback, and parents attending last night at our parent meeting. These are types of decisions and processes moving forward that we want to be out front and have communication around and allow people an opportunity to provide feedback. And I think we're there. As a team, during our conversation earlier today, it was very clear that this is not a direction at this point in time, and probably anytime soon, that we want to even revisit, as we feel like our efforts are going to go into strengthening an already fabulous program in our district. So just wanted to provide that update this evening for everyone, and also allow any board commentary on that or any other follow-up.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Mr. Sears, and I just wanted to reinforce that. I know we've all got quite a few inquiries about this since last week, and just want to restate what you said, that this is an effort for us to be transparent, be clear with everyone what options we're looking at, to bring it in front of the community so we can have those discussions. So there was never at that point any determination that we were going to move forward with Champions. Just to be clear, it was exploratory. So that's something that we'll continue to do, and hopefully it'll continue to foster that kind of conversation and the feedback and the involvement that we got from staff and community. So I appreciate that happening.
I concur with you, Mr. Beltram. I really appreciated getting to know up front before we heard anything from the community or other groups, and appreciate the administrative team, Mr. Sears, and how you handled looking at all of the ins and outs and what to do. And hopefully we follow a similar process down the road with different areas or topics.
Next on the agenda, I don't believe we have any legislative updates this evening.
Oh, yeah.
Do we have a legislative update?
Yeah.
Mrs. Phillips?
Probably the most important is how a bill becomes a law, because I have to say, if you look at the Ohio School Board Association and the blog that they have, just for the week of November the 8th, it's 5 or 6 pages long. Not everything on here will end up making it to be becoming law or something that we should be looking at. So number one, just wanted to, as getting all of the information and going through and saying, where are we in the process? Wanted to just give each of you that. And then to say that House Bill 177 passed the Senate, and that bill would permit school districts, among others, to use blockchain technology. Not sure what that means, but must be good for schools. So, and then there's a substitute version that passed, Senate Bill 229. And that's the one that requires each district to submit a remediation plan for learning loss to students during COVID-19.
exempt districts from retaining students under the third grade reading guarantee for the 21-22 school year, but it still requires principal, teacher, and support staff to go through all of the discussion with the families, and requires ODE to recalculate or adjust the 4-year graduation rate because of attendance, especially during COVID. And again, requires public schools to integrate the study of economics and financial literacy into one or more existing social studies credits for students graduating between 2022 and 2025. And so that's something that I'm sure Mr. Friedman will be working on with the high school staff to make sure we do all of those things. And then all of the other things are still just in committee. And so I will keep you informed once we see more movement.
Thank you, Mrs. Phillips. Next on the agenda is public participation. The Kings Local Board of Education encourages all parents, staff members, and community members to attend meetings and encourages visitors to participate in their meetings. Each speaker who lives within the boundaries of the district will have 3 minutes to state his or her reason for addressing the board. We ask that speakers avoid personal attacks on individuals during their public address to the board. If an individual has an issue with an employee, we ask that you request a private meeting with the superintendent or that employee's direct supervisor. Please keep in mind that Board of Education meetings are held so that the board can conduct their business in public. The board president is the spokesperson for the board and may need to consult with other board members in order to respond to the public. If a question from the public can be answered immediately, it may be. However, if time is needed to study the issue, the board may choose to make a statement at a later date. Our first speaker this evening is Katie Isaacs.
Hi, I want to start by telling you how deeply I love this district. My entire life changed the minute I was graced with the opportunity to work here. My daughters have begun their educational path here with us because of the people who have made me fall in love with this district. In recent years, as you know, our world has been bombarded with unfathomable challenges, losses, and continued hurdles. At King's, we have continuously found ways to overcome and adhere to our why, thanks to the people embracing us and carrying us along the way. One of the main elements of merit in a district falls on the shoulders of the people directly interacting with their children. We build off of each other. We are vertically aligned and integrated in our pursuit of excellence for our children. Our childcare leaders at the preschool and throughout our district help forge our foundation with our youngest knights. They are wiping tears and growing our children with love, empathy, and intellect daily. They are teaching them to manage their feelings and to embrace their neighbors with compassion. They are teaching them to become lovers of learning, routines, in our district. They have and are continuing to love our children in the same way, despite dealing with the dangers of a global pandemic. Before our leaders in childcare could be vaccinated, and still before our youngest knights are eligible to be vaccinated, our childcare leaders put themselves at risk to love our children. I often imagine what I hope to be able to reiterate to my daughters in regards to all of our loss, struggle, and heartache. In the end, I hope to be able to look in their eyes and say, when the battle hit our door, we chose people. Our leaders knew that the true value, essence, quality, and growth in our district centered around the people engaging with our students every day. Our children, families, and staff step into 5-star quality each and every day they enter the doors of our childcare rooms. Our childcare leaders have become an extension of our family. They are vital to our confidence in our district and the foundation of setting our youngest learners up for success for the remainder of their time within our district. The world has thrown us into the impossible. We have lost so much and are in so many ways grieving and reaching our arms out to each other to pull us out of the depths. Thank you for considering the weight of the decision you had in front of you. These are our people. Thank you for realizing that our childcare leaders deserve to be supported in maintaining their hours and insurance benefits. We want the people who care for our children to be embraced uniformly with the dignity, assurance, and value we have always allotted one another as members of our King's family. The quality of our program and childcare leaders is inimitable. The pages of our book are turning. Thank you for hearing us and giving our children, and not giving our children and our people more to miss and mourn. Thank you so much.
Our next speaker is Joanna. I apologize, ma'am. I can't read your last name. Oh, that's all right.
And as a tech executive, I'd be remiss if I told you, if I didn't tell you, make sure you look into blockchain technology. It is the wave of the future. There's some great videos on YouTube that you can watch about it. Yes, got it. Okay, tech executive out of the room now. I am here to talk with all of you today about masking. I'm the mother of a 4th grader at South Lebanon Elementary and a daughter who attended King's, and thanks to the excellent teaching by Mr. Bidwell over there, is now attending private school. I'm very happy, and she says hello, by the way. So this board made a decision back in August, very suddenly, to mask our children in grades K through 6. This decision was primarily based on the availability of vaccinations for that age group. Well, now here we are, 2 weeks in on vaccines being available for that age group. Parents are starting to get their children vaccinated. Pretty soon we will have fully vaccinated children in that age group in our schools and in the next couple of weeks. And then as we move into December and January, more and more of them are going to be vaccinated for parents who are concerned about that and want that for their children. So I'm here to respectfully ask the board to reconsider your masking policy as we move into the back part of 2021. And then as children come back from break in January, so you start to think about what that scale back plan needs to look like for this age group. When are we going to remove mask requirements? Also, I would love as a parent to know what that game plan is. And I'm sure other parents too, so that we can plan accordingly. So we don't run into the issue that we had in August, when the decision was made on a Tuesday evening. And then suddenly Wednesday morning, we were expected to be in compliance on that. So thank you for your consideration. I seriously hope that you'll put that on your next working session and that this will be a continued topic of discussion among the board. Have a good evening.
Our next speaker is Colleen Shooter.
Hello, good evening. I don't have anything prepared tonight, so I might go a little awry here, but I do want to address the decision to not go with the after-school program, before and after-school program with Champion. Feel like the administration and the Board of Education did a lot of things right this time with this topic, so I'm pleased at the engagement with the community. I am alarmed. I'm a little alarmed. There's been a group of people, lots of discussion about critical race theory and other concerns in our school district. And it didn't take more than a few seconds to find out how entrenched in critical race theory Champion that whole program is. So I'm alarmed that that was even a consideration. I'm pleased that it's no longer a consideration, obviously, but I'm hoping that the Board of Education, when we move forward and these things are proposed, we do have a great staff, we have a great administration, but I'm hoping that we're looking into that as a Board of Education and doing your own research, because it was a little alarming that was even an option from this particular company. I noticed that the critical race theory links on the website were disabled, and then we could still find the resources, and then the pages were gone altogether and under construction, and now the resources are back, but the links are still disabled. We had a board member or a board, oh my gosh, who is somebody campaigning to be on the board, mentioned that, we can assume when the links are gone that means the board heard us and we're not going to use those resources anymore. Apparently that's not true for these critical race theory links and resources. Thank you for recognizing the counselors. They do an excellent job here. I have utilized counseling in the Kings Local School District. We've needed it greatly, and I'm very, very grateful for it. They really do an excellent job. As we continue to use counseling, I hope we are remembering always that parents are the first and final authority, and that nothing should ever be done with our students without their full participation and agreement. It's my opinion that not a single piece of paper should ever be signed by a student and that a parent is not aware of and or given a copy of. And I've seen some things lately. We've got some surveys out where parents can't get the results of it. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our public participation for this evening. Next on the agenda, may I have a motion to approve the items for the treasurer?
So moved. Or I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
I want to add a couple things from, we went into a lot of depth last week regarding our monthly financial report and the 5-year forecast. As I mentioned, we talked a lot about the new fair school funding model. We were expecting our first payment in December. Saw some information today that it looks like it could be delayed to February now. And so we'll have to continue to monitor that. I think a lot of it has to do is that there's a lot of information through the management information system on student data that will drive the counts and drive the formula. The data is not going to be ready. And so that's going to push back the implementation. That will push back how we can evaluate the formula against our forecast. If that changes, you'll see it in a weekly update from me. But I thought it would be important to reinforce after we spent a lot of time talking about that timeline last week. We are one of the only businesses I know that will go through almost an entire business cycle and we aren't told what our revenue is. But that's school finance in Ohio. Entertain any questions the board has. I'm sure you could run your business like that, couldn't you, Mr. Egan? Just run for 7 months. Don't worry about it. It's going to be okay.
Any other questions?
Mr. Egan,
Yes.
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Mr. Belfram,
Yes.
Mr. Bidwell,
Yes.
Ms. Cowan.
Yes.
May I have a motion to approve the agenda items for the superintendent?
I make that motion.
I'll second it.
To clarify, we're approving item 1 for the field trip.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Furnace.
Do you want to take the call roll? Okay. Ms. Phillips,
No, I'd say we'll call roll on this because this is the item we're approving.
Right.
And then the next one is an update.
Yeah, I'm asking, you have anything to add about the field trip or?
As I alluded to last week, it is Mr. Meisner and the coach Meisner and the swim team is predicting some state champion swimmers. And so they want to approve the field trip to the state championship in Canton, Ohio. So in March.
Gotcha. Mr. Furnace, please call the roll.
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Mr. Belfram,
Yes.
Mr. Bidwell,
Yes.
Ms. Cowan,
Yes.
Mr. Egan.
Yes. So Mr. Belfram, the second piece of in this item, it's not an actual item for approval, but it is an update. One of the things that we've been very interested in and engaged in a lot of discussion, this is not only a local discussion, but a national as well, as with the increase in cyber threats. And we know that at the education world, we need to do what we need to do to protect not only our data, our finances, a lot of different things. So we've engaged in discussions around the best way to do that. I'm going to have Deanne Burns, who is going to step away from the computer just a little bit, and she's going to provide us an update and the board an update. And if there's any questions with this, she's going to provide an update on our approach to increasing our cybersecurity solution.
Like Mr. Sear said, we want to be proactive here and get ahead of, some districts unfortunately have had some cyber attacks. We want to try to get ahead of that and hopes that we never experience that, but in case, if we partner with Forward Edge, some of the stuff that they're going to help us do is protect our student data, our staff data, and then of course our financial data, which could, if we were under attack, that could cost the district thousands to hundred thousands of dollars. So our plan is to work with them. They're going to give us a true 360 degree solution where they will not only, the first thing that they will do will run an assessment, and they'll check for vulnerabilities that we have in the district, on our devices, on our servers, on endpoints that could be looking at our district that we weren't aware of. Hopefully that's not the case. They will also do dark web monitoring to see if like any of our teachers' usernames and passwords are out on the dark web. So we would be aware of that. And we could get in front of that and actually, make sure the teachers are changing their passwords if we see some of that stuff happening. Because if you use your school email on any web service, if you use the same password, you could potentially, put the district at risk too. So it would help us learn if another company has been hacked, to help protect ourselves. So we'll get, there's software, there's advanced logs and analytics, and then we'll look at all these results from this assessment, and we'll come up with a strategic plan to work to improve. I don't say we'll ever be 100%, because as soon as you're 100% today, something tomorrow could come out, right? So it's not going to be oh, we're good, we can set back on. It's just going to be an ongoing solution for us. But we will work with a remediation plan. They also will provide a security operations center that will be 24/7, 365. So if something serious has happened in the middle of the night on Christmas Day, we would get notice and we could, quickly get the right people involved to make the changes that we need to make, which are things with, our current staff that we just would not be able to do that. Their framework aligns with the CIS and the NIST. And then as an added benefit, we will be able to prove to our insurance company that we are taking more substantial measures than we have in the past. And that, the hope is that could even reduce the cost of our liability insurance in that regard too. So that's the plan. We're moving, like I said, the first thing we'll do is work on the assessment. We did one it's probably been 8 months ago. When we just wanted to see what the solution would look like before we actually decided to move forward, but we'll do it again. And it's a full-on plan. And it also provides training for our staff. So we'll send out like a legit looking phishing scam to our staff to see if, we're not trying to be rude or mean, but, we're trying to protect them and the district because, we need to train people to watch what you click, watch who you're responding to, watch who you're emailing, make sure that you're looking at the sender and it's legit before we're giving out, critical information. So we'll take advantage of like, it'll look like it's coming from UPS or, I'm not going to give away all the secrets, but you try to make it look legit so people are learning and improving.
Your standard pen testing there.
Right. And then we'll provide the, education and follow up and like, okay, this is where you missed, or this is what you could have done better. And like I said, it's not to be critical. It's just to protect us.
And we've been doing business with Forward Edge for a while.
Yeah, they're a great partner of ours. They're very responsive. They solely work with education. So they get schools, they get teachers, and they get students. which is what sets them apart. They're not out there and trying to get into every industry. They're focused solely on education and our unique, attributions that we have.
What's the cost of this program?
So currently the cost,
We believe it's going to be cost neutral for the remainder of this fiscal year. We've got some expiring malware and products we don't feel are as good. So the cost of this proposal for the remainder of the year is $23,000. It will be cost neutral because we'll have offsets for those things. We also believe that next year we can leverage down our cybersecurity policy. That went up about 500% this year because there's no history of claims. And then also Mr. Sears has identified some other software that we use that we may also be able to capture that money and repurpose it. So for this year, no net cost. For next fiscal year, potentially some cost to be determined, probably less than $20,000.
And our liability insurance could be reduced by or
We're
offset.
hoping to reduce it, but claims are so new in this area and they're so expensive. The carriers really don't have a great idea of how to price the coverage, in my opinion. So if we may be able to just tread water and not see increases, maybe the best that we can do. Forward Edge has a consultant and their team that can help us evaluate whether the policy and coverage we have is appropriate and whether the price is what it should be.
Another question, I understand now from Mr. Bidwell that we've had this relationship, but are there other kind of education companies out there that do similar that we've looked at or talked to, or kind of relying on our previous relationship?
there are others, but they don't provide such a comprehensive solution, and they are way more expensive too. Like,
Okay.
so some might say, well, here's your vulnerabilities, here's where you're lacking. Good luck, getting that fixed. Or they provide, like, here's where you're lacking. Let us help you resolve the problem, and then let us keep helping you on an ongoing basis. So no company that I've found has done, such an extensive wraparound service.
Okay.
I think the benefit of Forward Edge right now for us is that they already have a team of folks in our district. They understand our systems, our networks. And so it'll be a easier, quicker diagnosis, and they have a pretty good understanding of how we function and operate. So
They're gonna even help us as far as like creating a plan on, like, if you did get a cyber attack, like, this is who you call first, this is who you call second, this is, you know what I mean? Like, making sure that we're ready right away, day one, in case worst case scenario happen. And making sure that you're doing things in the right order so you don't put yourself in more liability.
I think we wanted to make sure the board was aware that, and I know that we've included this in the last few weeks of updates, just that this is a topic, and we wanted you to hear a little bit more detail as, we need to be responding and be responsible for our student, staff, and our community around the data that we have, and a lot of those concerns. We feel like this solution is, it will give us that advantage. It's not going to, like Dee said, it's not 100%, but it'll make us much more safer.
It's just really a case today. You just don't want to be the slowest elk out in the jungle. So this maybe helps us be a little quicker than a few of the others.
It actually is a very good analogy. You did say elk, correct?
Yes. That's today's analogy.
So it's just looking for board approval for when? And when?
Actually, this is below the board level of approval for contracting. And so we intend to move ahead. There's a PO in my inbox to push out. But we felt that this is a really mission critical system that while it was below the threshold for board approval at this point, Mr. Sears and I discussed it's important enough it rises to this level to report out.
And I'm going to be very careful with all of the emails that I see in my district inbox to make sure that,
That's our hope.
And mine will be shut down in 2 weeks. So.
Thank you. You're welcome. Next on the agenda, may I have a motion to approve the items for the assistant superintendent, HR and business, including personnel items. There's an MOU and an authorization to dispose of used equipment.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? Mr. Furnace?
Mr. Belfram,
Yes.
Mr. Bidwell,
Yes.
Ms. Cowan,
Yes.
Mr. Egan,
Yes.
Ms. Phillips.
Yes.
It looks like we don't have the approval items in the assistant superintendent education programs, correct? Right. Next on the agenda, items presented by the board. I do believe we did have one discussion item this evening.
I
Go ahead there.
I did want to take a moment that it was addressed in public participation, but kind of when we had voted to mask our K through 6 students, one of my questions was, what was the end game? What would be a game changer to change our direction on it? And like was stated, the vaccines are out. People have the opportunity now to get the vaccines for their children that so choose to, and wanted to take a minute to at least have some discussion on it. Possibly look to our December meeting to make some kind of resolution or vote on it. If discussion, so be it. I think we owe it to the community to take some action on it. So if there was any discussion, any questions, I think it would be appropriate now to bring them out for the community.
Excuse me.
You okay, Stacey?
Yeah, sorry. Please continue. Look for a cough drop.
If we look back a year ago at winter break, we were concerned, like for the week after or 2 weeks after, I'd have to go back and look at my notes unless one of you remember, as far as with a possible uptick just because of people getting together and family, more outings and things.
I mean, I'm up for open discussion, you know. You could look at it that way. There's a last board meeting to the time the kids go on break. Returning, if that's a concern for members of the board, you know, we can wait a 10-day window on from whatever it is, January 4th, just to kind of make things clear. But at this point, you know, again, the data that we have on it, you know, they have the vaccines. The requirement isn't there for the other ones, other grade levels, mandatory mask requirements. But like I said, I'm open to talking about it, but I think we, you know, we're talking about the kids that are at the absolutely lowest risk of any type of serious results from it too. So, and the bottom line is, what my premise was from the whole time was it's a parent's choice. It's really not a school member's choice, a school board person. That's not the way I view it. It's parents' choice to do it. That didn't go that direction, but the other thing that I committed as a board member, which I will not be on the board come January, would readdress it at some point in time. I think it's an appropriate time now that the vaccines are out, kids are getting them. So
So Dan, are you proposing that we look at in December voting to
Yeah.
what we'll proceed with in January? Is that what you're saying?
I
Then in
think,
December, we vote for, we hold a vote for what our plan is for when the kids come back from holiday break. Is that
Yeah.
the proposal?
I mean, we can do as much discussion now as we want. And yeah, more discussion on, what is it, December 14th?
Yeah.
And simply take a vote, you know, and see where people stand, or you guys as a board stand. And we can talk about dates, you know, that can be January 4th, January 14th, the day after our meeting. But as an agreement from the board, or no dice and let it roll as we've been going forward.
Mr. Sears, do we have any data as far as the amounts of our student population who are younger, who have gotten vaccinated?
Not at this time. I think it's preliminary. I can, on Friday, I'll ask when we have our weekly call. I'll see if we can get that information. I'll reach out before that, just see if there's any information on that at all.
Because I know you had really good data for the older students, so
Mhm.
maybe that'll come before our December meeting.
They also think that as far as vaccines are concerned, I think the ones, I mean, I think you're either going to go for them. There's not too many people that sit on the fence with it. They come out, they're going to get them. The ones that hold off there might be some mitigating factors in there, but for the most part, I think the ones that want to get their children vaccinated and will get it as quickly as possible. So we can give an extended window, like I said, after the fall break or after the winter break, give a 10-day window. At that point, I think you've got plenty of time to have gotten a vaccination if you want to get a vaccination.
I was going to say, especially with the Thanksgiving break and also with the Christmas break, that would afford more opportunities for the kids to get vaccinated through those times as well. I don't know what it's like, how easy or how hard it is to get appointments, but at least there'd be windows open for parents a little bit more with the holidays.
Correct. And it would be, I think the discussion is good because that would be consistent with what we're doing for 7th and 12th. I mean, we had vaccine availability, so we didn't have a mask requirement. So I think warrants the discussion. We have, excuse me, everyone, apologize, have that discussion and perhaps a vote and get through the winter break and start the next semester.
And we're talking kindergarten through 4th grade. We're through 6th grade.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm sorry. Thank you for helping me there with that one.
The ones that we've mandated a mask to, we want to undo.
So that would be preschool also?
Through 6th.
So we would have, I think that would be a delineating discussion to have is the vaccine is the eligible age is 5 to 11 at this point. And so our preschoolers are below that, many of them. And so I think that would probably be a contributing discussion into that.
Do you want to have any further discussion? I definitely think continued discussion, have it on the agenda for December. But that's a merged meeting, right?
It's a work session in regular meeting.
Okay. And then definitely talk about moving forward with a vote in December.
Okay.
Sounds like we needed to maybe decide on when, right? Because that's on the 14th and the semester is,
So the 14th is a Tuesday, there are 3 additional, there's
17th, the last day.
3 days of school after that, and then students were,
Votes have to happen at, it's in the same vote. Can we vote to unmask them and then make another resolution for time, or just state it all there at the,
We could write a recommendation to include all of it as one action item. Yeah.
I would feel comfortable with that.
Peggy, Deb. What do you guys feel about that?
I think that it's good for us to have this session, and it's good for us to let the community know the discussion's coming, so that they, if they have an opinion about it, they have the opportunity to come. So I think that's a good idea to let everyone know that there's going to be a discussion and a vote.
Where they can go on the website and email us, so we have the information ahead of time, because that'll help with our thinking process and things.
Concerns?
Yeah.
Does that conclude the items presented by the board? All right, with that, may I have a motion to adjourn this evening's meeting?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Furnace?
Mr. Bidwell,
Yes.
Ms. Cowan,
Yes.
Mr. Egan,
Yes.
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Mr. Belfram.
Yes.
Meeting adjourned at 6:51. Happy Thanksgiving.